Hello everyone, welcome back to Stock Market Meridian. Today is 27th July 2026 and you're watching today's pre-market report. Let's begin with the global markets. Starting with the US markets, because of selling pressure in semiconductor and AI related stocks, the Nasdaq fell more than 1%, while the other major US indices managed to close in the green. Meanwhile, US index futures are currently trading in positive territory, indicating some recovery in sentiment. Moving to the European markets, major indices also closed in the green. Now, looking at the Asian markets, Japan, China and South Korean market indices are currently trading around the neutral zone. So overall, global markets are indicating slightly positive sentiment for today's session. Now, let's move to commodities. Starting with crude oil, US WTI crude oil is currently trading around $83 to $85 per barrel, while Brent crude is trading near $91 to $93 per barrel. On Friday, Indian crude oil futures closed with a sharp 4.65% decline, while natural gas futures also ended the session with around 2.1% losses. So, the decline in domestic crude oil futures is a positive factor for the Indian market, but international crude oil prices still remain at elevated levels. Now, coming to the precious metals segment. Indian gold futures closed almost flat with marginal gains of around 0.20%, while international gold futures are currently trading with a positive bias. Indian silver futures closed on the positive side with around 1.2% gains, while international silver futures are also trading in a strong positive zone. So overall, precious metals are showing a positive bias, particularly in silver. Now coming to the Gift Nifty. On Friday, Gift Nifty closed at the 23,763 level and today opened with nearly a 160-point gap up at the 23,920 level. This Gift Nifty data is indicating a strong positive opening in our markets. Now let's check ADR data. On Friday, the ADR performance was largely positive. On the negative side, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories and Reliance Industries ADRs closed weak. But on the positive side, Wipro, Infosys, ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank ADRs closed with strong momentum. So overall, the ADR data is indicating a positive sentiment for the Indian market. Now, moving to FII and DII activity. On Friday, FIIs remained on the selling side with net selling of around 3,892 crore rupees. On the other hand, DIIs provided strong support with net buying of around 5,493 crore rupees. More importantly, this was the second consecutive session of heavy FII selling. And this month, we have already seen major FII selling pressure on July 16th, July 23rd and July 24th. So, despite strong DII buying, continued selling from foreign investors is indicating negative sentiment and remains an important risk for the market. Now, let's check the economic calendar. On Friday, India's services and manufacturing PMI data came in below their previous levels. However, India's foreign exchange reserves came in slightly above the previous week's reading. Coming to the US, services PMI came in above both the previous reading and market expectations, indicating strength in the services sector. However, manufacturing PMI came in slightly below expectations. US new home sales also came in above both the previous reading and market expectations. For today, there are no major economic events scheduled, but tomorrow, India's industrial production data will be released along with US consumer confidence data. So these will be important economic indicators to track. Before moving further, a quick reminder. I upload pre-market reports every morning before the market opens and post-market reports every evening after the market closes. So if you don't want to miss important market updates, make sure you stay connected with Stock Market Meridian. Now, coming to the geopolitical updates. First, we have an important development in US-Europe trade relations. In a post on Truth Social, President Donald Trump strongly criticized European regulators for repeatedly imposing penalties on major American technology companies. The US is now initiating a Section 301 investigation into the European Union's practice of imposing large financial penalties on US technology companies. This comes after a fresh $1 billion fine against Google by the European Commission over search preferencing and App Store rules. Trump highlighted the cumulative penalties imposed on major US technology companies and warned that the United States would not continue accepting these actions. He also threatened the possibility of substantial tariffs on European goods. So, if this dispute escalates, it could open a major new front in US-EU trade tensions, which will be important for global markets to monitor. Now, coming to another major geopolitical development. According to military updates and media reports, President Donald Trump has decided against authorizing an immediate new wave of heavy strikes against Iran. Trump said he has not made a final decision regarding major new strikes and indicated that Iran appears to be getting more serious about discussions. At the same time, the US naval blockade on Iranian ports reportedly remains in place, maintaining economic and military pressure on Iran. Iran has also confirmed that message exchanges with the US along with international mediation efforts are continuing. So for now, the situation remains tense, but the focus appears to be shifting slightly toward diplomatic negotiations rather than immediate military escalation. And on the other hand, Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara has outlined efforts to stabilize Syria's southern border.
Syria is working toward a possible security agreement with Israel, with several partner countries reportedly involved in the diplomatic process. According to the Syrian president, such an agreement could help prevent future military confrontations and potentially support broader regional peace. However, he also emphasized that Syria would not give up its sovereign claim over the occupied Golan Heights. So overall, with a temporary pause in major US strikes and active diplomatic negotiations in the region, we are seeing some early signs of potential de-escalation in West Asia. But the situation remains highly sensitive and needs to be closely monitored. Company quarterly results. Now let's move to the major quarterly results announced over the last 2 to 3 days. First, NTPC. Revenue improved on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. However, most of the remaining earnings parameters declined sequentially, while showing improvement compared with the same quarter last year. We should also remember that NTPC generally sees stronger business performance in the fourth quarter. So overall, I would consider NTPC's results slightly positive. Next, SBI Life Insurance posted a weak set of numbers. On a year-on-year basis, the company showed improvement, but compared with the previous quarter, the numbers indicate weaker business momentum. So overall, the quarterly performance looks slightly disappointing. Next, Jindal Steel posted a mixed set of results. Revenue improved year-on-year, but declined quarter-on-quarter. EBITDA and EBITDA margins improved sequentially, but declined compared with the same quarter last year. The major concern comes from profitability. Net profit and net profit margins declined heavily on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. So overall, the results indicate weak business momentum. Next, Container Corporation of India. Revenue declined on a quarter-on-quarter basis. However, most of the remaining major earnings parameters improved on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. So overall, Container Corporation reported a positive set of results. Next, ACC Cement. This quarter was quite disappointing. Major earnings parameters declined significantly on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. The weakness was influenced by broader cement price realizations and seasonal slowdown. So overall, ACC reported a very disappointing set of quarterly numbers. Next, Dalmia Bharat Cement. The company also reported a weak set of results, similar to the broader weakness we saw in ACC. Overall, the quarterly performance looks disappointing and indicates pressure on business momentum. Next, KFin Technologies. Revenue improved on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. EBITDA also increased year-on-year. However, several other earnings parameters declined. So overall, KFin Technologies reported a weak to mixed set of quarterly results. Next, REC Limited. Profit margins and EBITDA margins improved on a quarter-on-quarter basis, but declined compared with the same period last year. At the same time, revenue and EBITDA declined on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. So overall, REC reported a weak set of numbers for this quarter. Next, Welspun Corp. Revenue increased on a quarter-on-quarter basis, while most of the other major earnings parameters improved on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. So overall, Welspun Corp reported a good set of quarterly numbers. Next, Sterlite Technologies posted a very strong set of results. Major earnings parameters showed sharp improvement on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. Growth was strongly supported by scaling operations in the company's data center and cloud business segments, benefiting from the ongoing global AI infrastructure build-out. So overall, Sterlite Technologies delivered a very strong quarterly performance. Next, EU Small Finance Bank. Total income and net interest income improved on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. However, there was one area of concern. Gross and net non-performing assets increased slightly on a sequential basis, indicating some deterioration in asset quality. Despite this, the broader business performance remained strong. So overall, EU Small Finance Bank reported a good set of results, with asset quality being the key parameter to monitor. And finally,
IDFC First Bank. The bank posted a very strong set of quarterly results. Major earnings parameters improved strongly on both a year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter basis. So overall, IDFC First Bank's quarterly performance indicates strong business momentum. And that's all for today's pre-market report. Today we have a mixed setup. ADR data is showing positive sentiment, but heavy FII selling remains a concern. At the same time, geopolitical tensions are showing some signs of diplomatic de-escalation, while multiple quarterly results could create stock-specific action in today's session. So keep these factors in mind before the market opens. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Stock Market Meridian. And I'll see you again this evening with today's post-market report. Thank you for watching. Signing off, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.